Jasper Wade, Tools R Us.
Tools are us. Well, my guess is you're selling some tools, so let's talk about what the company does for a second.
Well, a bunch of us, got together and know that there's a lot of new technologies that come out to the oil field, and we developed this company, myself and a few friends of mine, so that we could bring new technologies to the oil field that offer the safety, efficiency, and optimization. So we offer multiple tools and different software packages. We have one software package that is probably the ultimate rod simulator for horizontal and deviated wells, and it's taken a while for them to market it. We like our best tool we like is our HydroLift, but they're all tools that they really have very little competition in the market because they're just new to be able to provide a safer, more efficient atmosphere and culture for the companies using them. So we always are looking for stuff.
You mentioned safety, and I wrote that down, so I'm going to get back to that in just a second, because obviously safety is a very big part of the oil field, but not only is it a big part, but there's a big push, like nationally, from a lot of different angles. So I know people are going to want to listen to that, but you also talked about software as a tool. I think a lot of people forget that because the oil and gas industry is such a tangible industry where you can actually see the big rigs and the hydraulic lifts and everything. A lot of people forget that the software is such a vital part and such a vital tool to the whole industry. So you guys do sell both the actual tangible, I can see the big, hydraulic lift, but the other side is you guys do have software too?
Yeah, and in artificial lift, for rod pumped wells, having a good software that can help you predict how your rods are going to work in the hole in different conditions is important. There are a couple different companies that sell and lease some stuff, but they're extremely expensive. And many companies just can't afford to keep a lot of licenses, so they might get one or two licenses for 100 engineers, say, and then everybody shares that one license, and with this software, it's economical enough where that everybody could have their own license. They can all work at their own, become more efficient with it, but then they are able to manipulate information in the well so they can see when things change, or before they put in a stream, and so that's where this software came up. And then we even have a new one for just drilling wells. A lot of them are just, I've been 3 or 4 years in design, and a new beta test, new set of the rod string will be offered on LinkedIn, the 1st of next week, 4th of July.
4th of July. Well, let's talk a little bit about safety. I want to talk about some of the, the broad brushes in just a moment. But, you mentioned like the hydraulic product earlier. Talk to me about how that product is making, say, things safer out there. So we'll combine those two together. And with your experience, talk to me how it's making it safer.
Well, the HydroLift in rod pumped wells, the key point is what is your spacing of your plunger and your pump. And no matter what your software or what people in the field might say, it may always be 5 or 6 inches off one way or the other, or as the fluid makeup of the fluid changes, the buoyancy of your rods change, and it causes your rods now to tag the well, tag the pump, which often is a bad thing because it can cause damage to the pump, etc. And many companies will shut a well down, and then they have to go and bring a rig back out on the site to order to respace the pump, which is expensive. Or they can have a crew go out and manhandle the rod string and physically move it and turn the pumping unit off, use the pumping unit as a means to pull it up instead of the rig, and that's not necessarily a safe way to do it. It's not using the rig, the pumping unit for the right reason. You know, the hydrolift is a very simple one-man operation that he can set the hydrolift on a stuffing box and actually pick up 40,000 pounds. You can pick up the rod string and then have it actually placed exactly where it's needed. So you get the optimization and efficiency, you know, with a certified tool. And from a safety standpoint, you know, people look at their safety cultures all the time, and how you respace a rod string is normally something that, you know, most safety people go right over because there's just not a safe way to do it. And the hydrolift provides that safe way to do it. It keeps people out of harm's way, which I think is very important. It keeps them from having to touch electrical panels a lot of times in order to do the same function. You know, so whenever there's a new safe tool, it's important for companies to know that it's out there, simply because it needs to be an alternative. You know, most of the larger companies are starting to buy the tool simply because they know that this allows them to optimize their wells more efficiently and quicker, as well as safer than the way they've done it before. I know one company that would, you know, they would turn a well off if it was tagging and might wait, you know, 12 to 20 hours or 2 days before they can get a rig or a crew out to fix it. That could cost them $20,000 or $30,000 in revenue with that well being down if it's making, you know, 50, 100, 200 barrels of fluid.
Jasper Wade, Tools R Us on the line with us. The hydrolift, you mentioned that product, the one we were just talking about, but you mentioned you got together with a group of guys and kind of focused on an idea behind innovative and safe products. Are there any other innovative products that you might want to mention?
Now, we also have a liner hanger, which allows you to be able to change over from one side of the casing to another, which is that's a pretty cool tool. We also have been promoting a horizontal lift system for gas lift. You know, and gas lift is all the rage nowadays. But unfortunately, there are some drawbacks on gas lift, as it has difficulties in slugging with surface equipment, and it can often not get you the drawdown or all the fluid that you want. This dual lift system allows you to be able to lift the gas from the lateral string into the vertical string, which is pretty significant. It's been patented back in July of 2010, so it's something I think is time has come, because, you know, a lot of people will put gas lift into a well for the first 8 months to a year of the life of the well, and as the initial production goes down, then they'll go and switch out. Well, with this device, they can actually stay in the well for years before they have to do anything different, and then it offers a simple transition to rod pump. You know, and so that's another thing that we do. We're also, you know, looking at bringing on a new PCP pump, which should be available probably in the second quarter or the third quarter of this year.
You know, I wrote down the word timing, because the one thing I wanted to ask you was, you know, kind of what would be the one thing that would separate you from, you know, your competition, if you will. I mean, it's hard to say competition, oil and gas, because at the end of the day, everybody wants to keep the momentum going so that it trickles down. But, you know, what I was going to say, what would be the one thing? But then I started thinking a little bit, you know, I'm starting to think some of this is timing, because when you're talking about innovation, there's that beginning period that it's kind of like, all right, you're only getting a small amount of people that are jumping on board, but then it seems more and more. And so it almost goes down to timing, unless there's, you know, something else. But I mean, talk to me a little bit about kind of what separates you guys apart a little bit. I mean, I know it's innovative, but is there anything that, just kind of goes above and beyond?
Well, I think the key word is always going to be efficiency. In the oil industry, they've seen over the last few decades making more people able to do more jobs in an efficient manner makes you more profitable. Be that efficiency through software, better design, more accessibility of equipment. Are things like the hydrolift, where a well can easily and efficiently be spaced properly with very little risk, is important. And that's what a lot of companies miss out. You can throw people at a project, or you can make the project efficient. I think making a project efficient is more important. And then you get into, even though there's an oil boom, what's going to happen is that there's a huge labor shortage, and so there'll be a big turnover constantly of employees. So you have to have products that provide simple use, which is what the hydrolift does, makes it easy for new employees or relatively green employees, as far as once they've been trained, that they don't have to have a large amount of experience in operating multiple phases of equipment, so that they can still do the job and they don't have to worry about being hurt.
Yeah.
So efficiency, I think, is important.
Yeah, I agree with that. Efficiency is a big part of it as well. Let's go back to safety for a second. Jasper Wade, ToolsRUS.Online with us here. The safety I want to talk to you about is more seems like it's happening, industry-wide, because we have so much innovation and technology going on. Well, it's making the offices and the computers and the tracking more efficient. So it seems like the regulations and the safety either is, ramped up faster than I think people have expected, or it's becoming more precision. But talk to me a little bit about that, that safety that's happening right now, that big push towards safety, which everybody's fine with, but I do believe it's happening very fast. But it sounds to me like your products are keeping in line with that and are allowing, to be a solution for that rising momentum, we'll call it.
Well, for example, with the hydrolift, if you're running a safe company, the first thing that an operator has to do when he's going to respace a well is he's got to complete a JSA, a job safety analysis. And then that JSA, if he's doing it with some other method besides the hydrolift, it probably entails 25 to 35 steps that he physically has to write down and write out on the JSA, stopping the pumping unit, turning it on, turning it off, restarting, respace. Whereas with the hydrolift, it's 7 or 8 steps. So efficiency, and even just the matter of the safety form. And companies that are working on their safety culture, completing a JSA accurately is just as important as completing it poorly. And the whole point of a JSA is communicating what steps are going to happen on this job. And so the better and easier it is for an employee to fill out a JSA, the more accurately he's going to fill it out. Because I don't know if you've ever been on a well site, but if you're on a well site, normally the JSA is what often gets just skipped over, and people will skip steps. They won't fill it out properly because they just think it's a waste of time. But that JSA is there to save their life. And so using tools like the hydrolift that are simple and easy to use, and it makes it very simple to fill out to the JSA. I think that's important, and that makes it easier for the employees to realize, well, hey, this is a tool that not only will it make my job easier, make the company more profitable because, we're optimizing as well, but then I can also complete the safety requirements easily, and they're not going to, I'm not going to skip over anything, you know, and I think that all blends into it. So now you have a safe tool that can cause efficiency not only in how it's used, you know, but how you fill out the safety form, because there's just less steps in it.
You certainly said it better than how I worded the question. I mean, but the way you said it was right. All the steps that need to be taken, and then when you start talking about thing and, you know, the speed of just the automation and everything, it does seem like it is happening faster, and now I kind of know a little bit more why. So I wanted to ask you one more, maybe two more questions before we wrap up here. Social media and sales. That's another area of the business that's changed quite a bit, is you know, the whole sales side of things. You know, a big part of your business is online sales and that sort of thing. So talk to me about how much social media has impacted your day-to-day life, I guess.
Well, you know, I have cerebral palsy, and I'm able to do many things online and on social media where I can't necessarily be walking door to door to sell a product. It allows us through items like LinkedIn to put our product very easily and succinctly out to the market. We try to market directly to the specific people that we think have need for the product, and I think it works very well. We get very good response through social media. I think LinkedIn for the professional has helped them dramatically. It's changed the way people sell, I believe, simply because cold calling and dropping in on people doesn't really work very well in the oil field. There's too many gatekeepers, or they don't have gatekeepers at all in their automation. They eliminated receptionists and secretaries for the automated attendant on the telephone system. You know, so we find reaching out through social media and showing our new products and showing different ways it can use have been very, very good for us. Networks are, you know, that's the key of getting any product to the market. Is more people talk about it in a company, the more likelihood it is for someone to champion that product and decide to go forward with it.
So how about like your website, ToolsRUS.Online. By the way, Jasper Wade, ToolsRUS.Online is who we're speaking with. Talk to me about your website. Is it a catalog? Is it a e-commerce site where people can, you know, make purchases, or can they order them? Just give us the linguistical experience, if you would.
Our satellite our website is something that's still in a growth media. I mean, it's not e-commerce site. We still want interaction with the salesperson talking to the end user to verify exactly what they really want. Some e-commerce sites, I think, our products have customization points as far as different options that people can get, and so we'd rather speak to the customer about stuff. Looks like in July we'll launch another new site that's indicative of some of the new products we have, so that people can actually see how they use them. We use our main tool of exploration. Our exposure is through YouTube videos, so that a customer can see on a video actually what the product does. I think it works out pretty well. The ToolsRUS.Online name was generated, mainly because that's what we are. We sell tools and we are online. And so that was an interesting domain that was available, and seems like it's worked out well for us. It does describe what we do. We sell tools and we're online.
Any final thoughts? Anything that we want to reiterate? Anything we forgot to mention? Just what do you want people to walk away from remembering our interview here?
Well, just that safety is important, and new technologies are coming out here all the time that offer you ways to be safer. And I think the key is always, safer and optimization. If you can get those two words in the same sentence, then the product's probably pretty good. And that's what we offer with things like the HydroLift. It gives your company a safer way to do a method people have been doing for decades, but it allows you to optimize the well and increase profitability at the same time. It doesn't take more effort to be safe. If you go out to a lot of wells, in order for the guy to be safe, he's got to do a whole lot more than he had if he didn't do it. And so with the HydroLift, you do a whole lot less, and you're safer, and you're more efficient.